With
This
that
movie
being
is
said,
fucking rad.
Do you
ah,
see any foreshadowing of Frankenheimer?
I'm just like, well, yeah. I
You
mean,
think?
Jesus H. fucking Christ. Every scene with the train in this movie, you can feel the weight.
mhm.
Yes.
The
And the
cinematography in this
grease
movie
on their faces looks
Oh,
real
this
too.
is
I
one of
don't
those.
think it's makeup.
cinematography in this movie is unbelievable.
The thing about movies about trains is that you must love trains to appreciate this film.
I
This
don't
is,
know about
Yeah.
that. I think this is like an all-time. I like a lot of train movies. Was it Unstoppable? I like Runaway Train.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
like Murder on the Orient Express.
Bullet train.
But this movie is an all-time train movie, and it moves. There's not an ounce
Mhm.
of fat in that script. And I usually
No,
find
it's
Burt Lancaster to be a bit of a stiff, but I thought he was great in this, other than the fact that he's like French Resistance, the only one in the movie without an accent.
he does his
Yeah,
own
yeah.
stunts. He is the Tom
There's
Cruise.
some crazy stunts
Yes.
that
I know, and there's some
When
crazy
he
shit he
comes
does.
down the
That guy,
ladder at the
Tom Cruise of
beginning.
his age.
Yeah.
yeah, the
Amazing.
ladder scene, and then there's like at least one scene of him like falling off the train.
Uh-huh. Also, there's
Well,
one
and
thing.
he
Tom
jumps
Cruise
onto the train too as
Tom
it
Cruise
goes
is
On the
tall.
along.
train, he jumps on it. He jumps over walls.
I
Runs
know,
across roofs.
and he's
It's
huge.
He
This guy's
pretty
like
slides
impressive.
down that
He's a
hill.
big guy.
Yes. Yes.
But Burt
Which
I
Lancaster
was
is also he's a
impressed.
gorilla. He's huge. So
This is
doing
one of those
stunts
things
like
where
that is not easy.
when
You
he
know?
slipped and started sliding down that hillside,
Right.
Yeah.
I
It
thought
looked
first of
like
all, it's
it
like
wasn't. No, go ahead.
that's actually gonna save time for him
Yeah.
because he's
Yeah.
in a hurry. He's
Yeah.
got things to do.
Oh, also the cinematic geography in this thing, when you're going to different locations and things happen in the train, you always know where you are.
Yeah.
You never get lost ever in this movie. It's like Frankenheimer
I
must have
also
storyboarded the shit out of this thing, man. It's like
I also
beautifully
really
done.
like the fact that Frankenheimer really knows how to make crowds move around. There's a lot of scenes where the camera's moving through like
Mhm.
a train yard and you got
Blocking.
trains coming and people running across and
Yeah,
just
there's a scene early in the,
marvelous.
I noticed that Jim, and there's a scene early in the film where they're sort of almost still introducing the Burt Lancaster character, and he's walking across the train yard, and there's trains rolling this way and that, and there's all these Nazis with like tanks and trucks, and they're pushing
Yeah.
whatever the German equivalent of the howitzer is. They're rolling that on through, and it's like everything's beautifully choreographed so that you lose him and then you catch him, and then you lose him and then you
Yeah.
catch him
Uh,
as he goes behind things.
Well, yeah.
It's
Right.
really good.
yeah. The
Yeah.
guy. Well, don't forget, we did three of his movies. We did Seconds, and we did Ronin.
Ronin.
Right.
Yeah, and Ronin is like a fan. That was
We haven't even done
Ronin
like,
is like a fan letter to the French
yeah,
too. I mean, the
1998.
scene
Right.
but
where
here's
he
the thing.
goes into the bar where the guy
None of these
gets
are even
the
my
4
favorite.
coins.
Yeah. But Ronin
My
is like this
favorite
guy
is
was
Black Sunday.
his action setups.
Black
in that-
Sunday, I think that's my.
Black
I don't know.
Sunday, I know, yeah.
That's my favorite Frankenheimer movie.
Also, you ever seen
Mhm.
ever seen Grand Prix, the one he did after this?
Yeah.
And has you ever seen the theater?
No.
Oh, it's all shot in 65 millimeter. Dude, it's crazed.
I mean, he kind of stumbled toward the end. Prophecy wasn't very good. 52 pickup
Hey.
was okay.
Island of Dr.
Yeah.
Moreau. Shush.
That movie is terrible, and you know it.
Oh, Island of Dr. Moreau.
That movie is terrible. He rescued that from Richard. What's his name? But no, back to this thing.
I'm amazed that this movie was supposed to be directed by Arthur Penn.
Well,
And
Oh,
he
he's
got
Wes
got,
Anderson
fired.
too.
He got fired after like
no, but he
3
shows up
days of
like so. He
shooting.
got it.
When
I
did he get fired?
got credit.
He Burt Lancaster didn't like, who I think was also an executive
No, it's he's
producer,
he's
you know,
executive
somebody
producer.
with clout.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Like, this ain't working.
didn't like him, and then they stopped shooting for like a month, and they rewrote the script for Frankenheimer.
Yeah.
because they had a lot more romantic
Well,
interest.
this is-
in the-
this is
And
a-
bound back in 2 years, he did just fine.
Also,
This
poor
is-
Arthur Penn, he went on to do Bonnie and Clyde.
I mean, Clyde.
Right. I mean, Arthur Penn is no slouch too, but it would have been a very different movie.
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is
This
a big
guy-
budget movie, you guys. This is a
What
big
about
budget film.
Paul Schofield from
Really, really
My
good
Life
at
Choices?
this.
Yeah, he's great.
Really good in this.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's one of those guys who's Nazis. Like, this is like, again, Tad would be really mad, but he's a Nazi with a kind of a soul. It's a twisted
yeah.
soul.
Nazi with
Well,
Yeah,
and
but this
also
guy is
the
like
guy
he's about
behind you, Scott,
preserving the art and keeping the art and appreciating the art and keeping
Yeah.
And
his
he's
name is either
so-
Werner or Wolfgang
he's-
Price is so good.
What's that? What?
the major who's right behind Scott.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Oh yeah, him.
He
He
was
was
also
great.
really good.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That
He
scene
made
at
a
the end was
career
like,
out
it's
of
over,
playing
man.
conscientious.
The it's over scene is
It's
really,
over.
Yeah,
and they're both just
Yeah, we're
dripping.
done.
They're
They're
just
both just
dripping.
covered in what I'm guessing is glycerin.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Straight
I
up.
started
this movie. I started this movie kind of late, and like you get the scene where it's him and that woman, and they're looking at the art. And I'm like, man, this is really interesting. Is this in the same universe as the last movie?
Yeah.
And then a couple like literally like 5 minutes later, there's that guy again.
Yeah.
When the credits kick in and the Lalo was it is it who did
No,
the
it's,
music?
no, it's not Layla Schifrin. It's
Oh, it's Marie
Oh, it's
Jarre.
Jarre.
Yeah.
Marie Jarre.
That
Yeah.
music kicks in, it's like for me, it's like you're awake now. Like
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
like
Oh.
there was a snappiness to the first
Mhm.
15 minutes of this movie that woke my ass right up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got that jammy kind of 60s quality to it that's just like, oh.
Well,
Yeah.
Jarre is fresh off of the Eyes Without a Face in this one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like
How beautiful! Speaking of the sort of the dynamism of the filmmaking, how beautiful was it at the end when all he was doing was cutting back and forth between the different crates with the painters'
With
names
the
on them,
names on them.
and then
Yeah,
all the dead,
man.
and then the dead bodies strewn all over the board.
It's
Yeah.
a hell of a point
And
was made. That's
where
for sure.
they
Yes.
where they put the names with stencils on all
Yeah.
the crates when they're
Yeah.
packing them up.
Oh,
and
right.
I kept thinking, oh yeah, where's the Ark of the Covenant?
I know. I was going to
Pretty
say,
much, pretty much.
people saw this movie for sure.
They all
Yeah.
head in the same warehouse, basically.
Like Scott, like there's
Yeah.
a lot of really impressive crane shots in this movie, and there was one where he got the camera really low to that track,
Right.
and it's almost like move the camera. Here's the train is coming. Move the camera. Move the camera. Move the camera. Fuck, dude, move the camera. And it's like right at the last second,
Oh,
the
yeah.
camera swings up and out of the way.
Well, you know, that's one of
I
those.
can imagine those cameras at the time in 60 was it 63?
Yeah.
Well, it's a
Well,
it's a
I
big,
read
it's a big
I read
300.
that the scene where they crashed the train into the other train.
That had to be a model, right?
No, it's a real train. They
God.
like
Really?
did,
Really?
and
Oh.
it took out 3 of the 5 cameras that were shooting it.
Oh, that makes
because it
sense.
overshot.
Wait. Okay,
That
hold
makes
on.
sense.
Because I'm like, where are the model shots? Okay, so when the Allies bomb,
When they bombed the train station.
That's a model. Yeah.
those
Yeah,
are
that's
models,
a
right?
model.
Yeah.
It's good.
Uh-huh.
But the
It's
train
good.
crash,
It's a large scale
The
model. Those train cars were like
crashes
about
with real
a
trains.
foot and 2 foot high. But you know, these trains, all the train cars and all the locomotives were just like old stock. They're just sitting around after
Right,
the war.
they'd gone to a wider gauge, and so they were just getting rid of all those.
They're just
trains.
they're rusting
So
away
they
out
had
there.
to
So
use
it's
them.
I was
basically-
wondering, I was like, even though really this was a big budget movie, that's like, how could they afford to just destroy these trains?
Oh, this is the era. This is the early '60s. Back then, they can make World War II movies because they had that shit laying around in piles.
Just around.
Like,
Right.
you know how much of German tanks? They go to Spain. We have about 1,000 of them. Help yourself.
This movie is full of hardware, man. It's
It is.
it's also full of John Moreau.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Jean
yes.
Moreau, she's great. Does good stuff. Yeah, it is kind of weird. Burt Lancaster is kind of this
Lancaster.
weird, clunky, big, goofy.
I've always thought he was a bit of a
American
stick.
guy.
I mean, I like him in Field
Yeah.
of Dreams,
But this
Okay,
is an American.
okay.
I liked him
This
in
is
The
essentially
Swimmer.
an American film, so he has to be in it. You know what I mean?
Did we have to all work a little bit on our suspension of disbelief at the beginning to say, okay, he's French and he's in the French
Yeah.
Resistance?
Like,
Okay,
you know,
And his-
yeah, I know.
and his
Like in
name
all
is
of
the
them.
Bitch.
I gotta put that helmet on and just believe now.
Yeah,
Dream. Yeah.
it's the same helmet you wear when you're watching
But
like
here's the thing.
Spartacus, and you have to watch like Kirk Douglas with a flat top. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
that's the thing. Like there are guys, Nicholson, Lancaster. Like it doesn't matter what movie they're in.
They're always there.
they're gonna play themselves. Yes.
We're just gonna
They
have to
are.
go.
And they're
They're
just
not comedians.
John Wayne.
Yeah,
they're
right.
American. They're just decidedly
Well,
American.
John Wayne
Even when
has
we
never
watched The
played
Swimmer,
anybody
which
but
is
John
the
Wayne.
art.
Swimmer, that was his
They played
edgiest. That was
Genghis
his
Khan.
edgiest film. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But even
Oh,
in
well,
The
he did
Swimmer,
play Genghis Khan, and even
2 years
then,
later, 2 years later, this. You know, it's
The
like a hell of a career, this guy. But you know,
well,
it's
no,
just,
I mean, but even The Swimmer, I'm struggling with him in that. Like,
You
He
know,
looks good, but every time he
Oh,
opens
he
his
has
mouth,
that
it's
kind of
Lancaster.
diction.
Yeah.
His delivery is always the same.
Yeah.
Yes,
This
I
was-
think I said that during the swimmer episode.
Yeah.
It's like it's always sort of stagey and like
Yeah.
I'm making a speech now, you know, and
Yes.
that's kind of the way he does his
Bring
thing.
the camera in tight on
Yes,
because
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going to make a
He
speech.
does that thing with his teeth in his mouth where it's like half
Yes.
open and the teeth are shut. Like, wait. It is like none of that mattered because this movie kicks so much ass that I was 100% from
Also,
like
the body
first
count was
film.
astounding in this thing. It's like almost no one
Oh.
survived in this movie.
Yeah,
When they
they're-
shoot the hostages
hostages?
at the
Oh
end,
my God!
I know, just like this
it's
is
like a
them
throwaway
right now. It's like
scene.
fuck.
It really is almost a throwaway scene. You're right, Jim, because they don't do it in close up or say, "Okay, you're going to march them out now and do it."
Right,
Pile
well,
of
you
bodies
go
right
kill
Over
them.
here,
He
they're
does-
just
he
machine
says
gunning
nothing.
12 guys.
Yeah, we're
There's
just
a
we're, this
giant
is
pile of bodies the entire
Yeah.
time. Lancaster is staring at the camera here.
yeah, I know.
Yes.
But it's like
Yeah.
this is what we do. It's like we know we're Germans, we kill hostages. That's how it works. You know, it's like that
Leave no witnesses.
Yeah.
I will say, Paul
I wish-
Schofield was so mean to Bert at the end. That
I
right
know.
before Bert Lancaster mows him down, that monologue he does,
I know. It's like,
it's vicious.
I
Yes.
know. It's good
He
stuff.
calls- He's like, have you ever seen any of this before?
Have you ever seen any of these paintings? It wouldn't matter if you did. You
Yeah,
wouldn't.
you're a lummox.
You don't even know why you did this.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
it's like well, thing is
Wow.
like, there's that weird like again that fatalism that's part of this whole thing. It's like, well, yeah, eventually this guy, the best way to get to end this film is just shoot him in the head, and it's like that. Sometimes you just got to put these guys down, and that's what this whole thing's about. You know.
Yeah.
So this is one of the. So this is 64. So we're well into the period where Hollywood is making big budget color movies.
Mhm.
Right.
Like, there's something about
It's the last action film in black and white.
Well, but
Pretty
I'll
much.
tell you, man. I wish I'd pulled more images. I mean, there's a scene where the great scene where we got to convince the Germans that they're in a different part.
Oh yeah,
Right. They're going through different trains.
They're going through different things. They're
Oh, that was
changing-
fun.
changing the signs.
In fact, I saw they're going through one town. I saw the sign on the water tower. I'm like, that looks really phony. And guess what? It was phony.
It was funny, yes.
Every one of those scenes.
Mhm.
Again, the guy. I looked up the DP. I mean, the DP when I do a lot of other things, but every scene where the train was going through one of those little towns, where the lighting on the train itself was so fucking good. Like this whole movie is just, it's lit well, it's shot well, it's choreographed well. The action scenes totally work. There's weight, there's consequence. There, like you really, I mean, all of it. It just, and this is like what Frankenheimer's second or third movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
He'd done TV before.
Let me stop for a second. Did you ever hear of a photographer called O. Winston Link?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
There was some scenes in this film where you have it's nighttime and the train's rolling through and the smoke's coming through and everything's lit really dramatically. It's O. Winston Link photographs brought to light. It's like and this guy was famous for doing train photography like all over the South and the West and like that. We're using like 1,000 strobes lining up a whole valley and just all these old locomotives and the smoke and all that. And it's stuff is extremely dramatic. I recommend it highly looking him up because he's an amazing American photographer. There's the influence of Link's work in this film is direct. You know,
well, so this shot, I grabbed this specific.
See, that's like see the lighting in the back there.
Well,
The whole train is lit up all the way down.
Yeah,
it's a typical, Kubrick, Wes Anderson vanishing point perspective scene, except because the train is one of the four planes, and
that's right.
Moving, it brings another element into that thing that I really, really like.
Yeah,
but it's moving the whole time.
Right.
Like there were so many shots where like, God, that looks good. God, that looks good. I mean, I'm surprised it didn't get nominated for more awards or win more. Like it didn't.
And it's not that well known.
For like 4 or 5.
This was neither fish nor fowl, I thought. It's an American produced film, but it was all shot in 1.66. So it's intended for European distribution. So yeah, and American distribution is probably as an afterthought. So it's kind of odd. You know what I mean? But
well, it was French and Belgian co-production.
It was a French-Belgian co-production, but it was a lot of American involvement in it, like American director, American star, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So it's again neither fish nor fowl, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like, Jim keeps saying like 6 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, you picked Man for All Seasons and what was the
Lion
other
in
one?
Winter.
Lion in Winter.
Lion in
Yeah.
Winter. And I was like, Lion in Winter is the best movie you picked this year, which replaced the last best movie you picked this year. And now I'm struggling because this one
This is actually my again. You might have
it's also
nailed it
still
again.
pretty freaking good.
He keeps
I
I
doing it.
know, and as opposed to the Melville flick, I've seen this one in the past 40 years, probably 3 or 4 times, I'd say.
I will
And
rewatch
it
this.
always
I've never
stuck
seen it
with
once.
me,
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never seen it.
It's
I
pretty
always wanted
entertaining.
to.
even on TV,
I thought the restoration on this was really
It's very crisp. Yeah.
on Amazon. This
Uh-huh.
looked fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
Mhm.
It's nice work on this thing. Yeah, and it is weird because you see the little black bars on the sides. Like I said, it has an unusual
Yeah.
aspect ratio.
I've got a plot question that baffled me and Sheila both.
Mhm.
Okay.
And it's in that scene where he does check into the hotel. He says, "I got to get some sleep," so they check him into that hotel, and Jean Moreau's there, and
Yes,
goes
this.
and he goes upstairs, and then there's this action sequence where his fellow resistance guy, I forget the guy's name, sets the gas tank on fire on that German truck. It blows up, and that gives Bert a chance to jump out the window, jump over a wall, run around and do something, I forget what. But wasn't he just trying to get out of his room to go make a phone call? Because he had to phone Maurice to
or he was supposed to meet Maurice or phone
Yeah.
him, yeah.
And it was like, why didn't he just go downstairs and make a phone call? I just didn't understand.
Stuff up is fun.
Exciting. It was well
Yeah,
staged.
I'm willing to guess that the Gestapo or the Germans are just watching him in there. They invited the guards downstairs. They're gonna say if he got out of his room, they're gonna wonder why are you out of your room? So they didn't say it in so many words, but I bet you that was what was going on.
Because they
Out of the
do come
building.
into the room and he has to pretend like he was there the whole time eating soup.
That's part. Oh yeah, that's a plausible
She
deniability.
also may not have a phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Where did he
It is
go to make
1940 something.
where did he go to make the call then? I'm a little foggy on that. I can't remember.
Doesn't he go to the station?
Oh, maybe he's in the train
Yeah, I
station.
think
that
it was
makes
a
sense.
train station, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Insignificant detail.
It's not a big deal. It was just it occurred to me and Sheila
If
both.
I think about it too hard, there's going to be 20 of those, but I was so
Right,
Yeah,
but
right.
it moves along
Okay.
fast enough that you don't
You're like,
usually have
so
time to
flippin'
think
good, I don't
about
care.
it.
You don't have time to think. It's movie logic.
Yeah,
And so it's
movie
like, how did
logic.
they get all those people to put up those signs to change the names of the train stations? It's
The
like, holy
resistance is everywhere. The resistance.
Well, he talks
everywhere.
about, like 100 people get involved. He goes from like when the woman first comes to them, he's like, no, it can't be done. We're not going to do it for a bunch of
Yeah, there was a lot
babes.
of that.
Forget it.
Right.
And then little by little, when the old fat engineer gets shot,
Papa Roach or whatever.
Papa Boole or whatever. his
Papa
name
Boole.
is. Yeah.
John, here's another one.
Right.
What's the point of taking the fake signs of the towns down?
Yeah.
Oh
So
well.
that the audience could go, ah.
That's for us.
This
That's
is-
for us.
fucking-
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Leave them up. Who cares?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? The Germans are going to come by this town.
Or wait like a day or two. I don't know.
And
The
you
Germans
know-
are going into town on a car when they say, "What the hell's going on with these signs?" So who knows? right?
That's like a classic, like Frankenheimer kind of like caper kind of thing,
True.
where the
Right.
Nazis are checking the towns off on the map, and there's close-ups, and then you see the signs going up and coming. I just love that's movie
Yeah.
shit, man, and I love
That's
it.
good
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
It's good. It's a good spy film.
Also,
thing.
there's a trope in England of during the war when they thought the Germans were going to invade, they changed all the road signs
Oh,
to
nice.
be wrong. And there's usually like scenes in some movies where like the Brits get confused. It's like, wait a minute, how do I get to York?
That makes sense.
Great.
Uh-huh. Well, this,
Yeah, I
no.
don't. Again, you pick Man for All Seasons shows like, yeah, and then Lion in Winter, yeah, and then just Silence of the Fish. This movie, fucking
yeah. All right. Well,
no.
you know what? I'll
Yeah.
agree. It was a
Yeah.
surprise.
Yeah.
It's
I got something else, and that came up just a
Sure.
minute
By all
ago
means, take it.
before we finish up.
Your thumbs yet. We take our thumbs back.
I take your thumbs down. I just wanted to bring up the stakes of this movie. it is art, is culture, right?
Culture,
We haven't talked about that.
not just art. It's national culture. That's
It's
the
national
thing.
culture.
Both films share
Right.
this.
But I mean, it's great that the main characters who end up giving their all for this
Mhm.
are debating
If it's
not,
worth it.
not if it's worth it,
Yeah.
not just
Yeah.
at the beginning, but throughout. It's like,
because we're not talking
Yeah.
about they're not talking about saving lives here. They're talking about saving art, and it's like,
right.
how do you justify that? And that's
And
the,
Well,
the
there's
a
central
great-
mystery of the film.
And the guys who
Well,
have to
he
go
says
do
it
it,
at one point. He says, "How many lives is this stuff worth?"
Mhm.
right, yeah. I love that the
there's
script.
two justifications for this. There's the German version, which is priceless,
Yes.
billions of dollars.
Right.
Yeah,
And the French side, which is national culture.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Two things.
Well, and Schofield's the go-between because he has to convince the other Nazis that it's worth doing because they're worth a lot of money, these paintings.
Right.
Right.
Untold
And
billions.
meanwhile, the resistance has to convince everyone it's worth getting these things back because it is irreplaceably culturally.
Soul of France.
And I found
Yeah.
that
If it was
fascinating.
if the resistance was more like hard nosed, it's like fuck it, take the paintings away. It doesn't matter.
Or blow the fucking train up, which
Yeah,
is
exactly.
it's just
Uh-huh.
a
Well, he does nearly do it.
He does. He
They
almost
nearly-
does that. Yes.
Yeah. I love the scene in the beginning when the woman from the museum's there pleading with them to do it. One of the other resistance fighters says, "Didn't you make copies?" It's like, okay, now we know who we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you brought that up because like I found that whole tension so fascinating.
Yeah.
Because it's like we're talking about like we're blowing people up left and right. People are getting killed in these horrible train crashes. And what is it over? These things, boxes with Monet painted on the side.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
it's not a train full of orphans or something. It's like it's
No.
stakes that you have to decide what they're worth in your own
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
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 And the two primary antagonists and protagonists both have legitimate reasons for the things that they're doing, and they're kind of you can kind of see like, oh, I get it. Oh, I also get I got both of it. And
Yeah.
that was endlessly fascinating to me.
It would be
Mhm.
interesting to kind of show this film to an audience in 1964, American audiences especially, but particularly European ones who are pretty cultured, because you learn all about this stuff in school, right? You learn about Manet and Monet and Impressionism and like that, even a small amount. And so they would know what the significance of this artwork is, as opposed to now. Show this in like Iowa, and see what people would think. Like come out, it's like, why are they making this big fuss about paintings? Because people don't learn this shit anymore. People don't. It's like they don't understand.
Not allowed to have North Korean stuff
because the value of a painting like this in terms of national culture is so ephemeral. And you have to. It's like believing in angels. So you have to like. It's not just how much the painting is worth, although they're worth a lot of money.
Right.
It's also about how it connects to a country and people in it and everything. It's like that's the part you can't explain to people now. It's like
it's also interesting.
my fellow
that
Americans, but I think it for good reason.
if you look at the history of the Germans looting all the artworks and stuff, the Jeu de Paume Museum was used as a staging area like it is here. These are supposedly the ones that they didn't take to Germany already, because Goering always had first dibs on anything that was looted from a
he was very
family or
refined.
from a
Yes, he
museum.
was.
Yeah, so they moved that. So these are like the leftovers that nobody wanted. And then at the end, they decide, well, we should take them to Germany too.
Yeah, actually, no, it's because there's no monumental art here. They're all really small.
Yeah.
And also, they're early 20th century. The big important stuff got
Right, the
taken by Gehring.
degenerate art.
Yeah, exactly. So
Degenerate art, right?
Yeah.
One more thing, I dunked on Schofield a lot during Man for All Seasons because I thought he was a bit of a stiff. I thought he was great in this.
Really,
He's a
I think he's
good
good in both
actor.
films, but
I
he
know
does.
doubt.
Now the guy showed his range.
I
that's
really
for
liked
sure.
him in this a lot.
Yeah.
And I
Because
see
he does. He plays an absolute bastard. And yet you kind of feel like you're
I have a little bit of
conflicted
sympathy
about
for him.
Right,
He's
right.
a great
You can
deal.
see his internal struggle, and this is going back to the
Yeah.
previous film where I talked about the fact the guy appreciates French culture because he's a
Mhm.
member of the master race. It's the same.
Yeah.
It's almost the same story.
Well, I mean, you can hear that in his contempt when right before Bert shoots him.
I know.
His
Exactly.
contempt.
It could have been either character saying that. Exactly. So that's
I should have these paintings, because I don't appreciate it.
over here.
yeah. You're just
Raiders of the Lost Ark. He's in this movie too.
Who is he?
The little Toht guy from Raiders of the Lost Ark. He was in this movie.
Oh wow. Okay.
I thought it was the guy. I thought it was the guy from Portlandia.
Also true. Exactly.
All right. Okay.
Two big giant thumbs up for this movie.
Yeah. Loved it. Really
An unexpected action masterpiece. The middle of the
and nicely done theme for the two films there, Jim. I liked
yeah,
it.
it's subtle. It's a
I gotta
subtle
figure
theme.
this is the same universe, right? Both of these movies has to be the
Are
same
you a
universe.
closet Frenchie? Is that what you're trying to tell us, Jim?
I've always been a closet Frenchie.